I'm just using a 2B pencil. And here's a rough drawing. And if you notice, my drawing is very light. Okay, I hope it's completely visible now. And just to give you an idea how big it is, it's probably 2 inches each of them. We need this kind of, size. It doesn't have to be too, it should not be too small. Okay, now let's work on the stem. Now the stem, slowly I'm trying to shade. There is some striations here. So the side, only the right side is darker, left side there's a gradation. Okay, so that's my first stem. Now I'm trying to look for the shadow areas and shade there. My movement is circular movement, circular motion. Light strokes, don't darken it, like in one go. Slowly we'll be darkening it. And there's a nice highlight of the shape. So I'm just very, crescent, half crescent shape. So I'm just trying to leave that area. See, the drawing is not very dark. The shade of the those lines should be such that it blends with the surrounding. Okay, now I can see a very tiny highlight, circular highlight. So just marking it and then shading around it. Okay. Going over it once more because it's slightly darker. The shade here is still darker, so I'm going to go over once more. Okay, now this area is again light, but this portion is much darker from here to here. So I'm just trying to identify the darker areas first, okay? My aim at this point is to identify the shadow areas and work on them without don't press too hard. So though it's much darker than what I am doing, we will get to that shade only slowly. There is another dark area here. So it's like, a band of light and dark. So with this 2B pencil only, I'm trying to get two shades, one darker and one lighter. I'm still not pushing it through. It's still, my strokes are very light. Now I'm going over the entire thing once more, but without much pressure. second layer to darken the areas which feel darker. Still working with 2B. You can shift to 4B for those if you have it. If you don't, then you need to increase the pressure on your pencil. So I could have pressed on the first, pass only, but that's not what is needed. You need to work slowly, multiple layers. So this is second pass over the entire thing, making sure where it's darker, you can slightly increase the pressure, and where it's lighter, go with light hand. Okay. Where there is clear highlight, I'm trying to leave it for now. I will be blending it. Now here it's pretty dark, so I just want to increase the pressure a little. Okay. Still working with 2B only. So it's just one pencil that I'm working with. Now these edges are not refined, so I'm just trying to smooth out the edges. Since it's a cherry, it should have a smooth edge. Okay. Now I need a tissue or something to blend it. So this is a blending stump. You can use a tissue as well. So I'm just going to smoothen out this mark. You can use a tissue paper, a cotton bud, anything. And the motion is circular. So be careful about the highlight. We don't want to go on the highlight. But then we do want to, erase any sharp pencil marks. So even though I'm going on the highlight, I'm not going to cover entirely, but then go as much as needed to smooth out things. Okay. So that's my first pass with 2B. Now I'm going to pick up a darker pencil. You can pick up 4B and then maybe 6B. I'm picking up straight 6B and I'm going to look for the darkest areas. Okay, so this is adding to the contrasting values. Now make sure when you do this, it should not be all over. The dark contrast should be used wisely. Okay, that was still here. Then you have some very high contrasting areas of shadow here. Okay, I'm going to increase a little bit on the side. And it has to be dispersed, so I'm just trying to blend it here. Okay. This area is also very dark, so needs more layers. So there's a nice circular highlight here, so I'm just trying to achieve that. Okay, again, I'm going to pick up my blender or a tissue or something just to smoothen out the lines. Now I feel this area here is still darker, so I'm going to work a little more. Okay, now the bottom. the deep shadow. Okay, now this is the deep shadow. I literally pressed my pencil, and I'm going to gradually reduce the pressure to create the shadow area, like the entire shadow of the cherry. While I am doing that, maybe I can do the deep shadow for this one also. Okay, now again I'm going to check for high contrast and more, all the now this highlight here and this highlight here has a little more darkness around the highlight, I mean. So I'm just leaving the area, and the highlight is kind of triangular in shape, and this highlight is circular in shape. If you lose your highlight while shading, you need to use an eraser. If you have a kneadable eraser, just dab it. If you have a regular eraser, just use to erase it a little. So, you have to go multiple passes. This doesn't happen in one go. Slowly and steadily, you have to increase the pressure. Carefully observe where exactly you need to darken, where has to be lighter. Now I'm going to use some really high pressure with the tip. So I'm looking for areas which are really dark, and I'm trying to apply some pressure. Okay, this is dark enough. Whatever darkness you apply, make sure it blends with the surrounding shade, the shade around it. It should not be a line. It should be the same shade which is needed for that area. Some blending is required here. So you have to alternate between the blender and the, okay, that's one cherry. Okay, similarly for the other cherry. So you could go either way. Here what we did is we first identified the darkest areas and colored that, and then the lighter ones. Okay, let's follow the same pattern for this. The darkness of the branch, and the with the light hand the rest. Okay, now let me do the leaf. Leaf is pretty simple actually. Let's just give it one complete shade. I'm holding the pencil behind so that the pressure is not too much, and I am still using my darker value pencil 6B. If you want, you can use 2B and then look for areas to go with the second pass. But I can control the pressure pretty okay, so I'm working with my dark pencil only. Okay, now if you're using a lighter pencil, change your pencil and then use a darker pencil to color this bottom half once more, because these are darker. This is darker. Now I can see a darker shade here on the side of the leaf. There is another very dark shade, so I'm just increasing the pressure here a little, and here. Okay, now the veins. Okay, even the veins look too sharp, so they need to be blended. Some of these irregularities on the leaf, you can work on that. Okay, now the leaf itself has a little darkness here to show the depth. So it's darker here in the center, then there's a bulge, and then darker on the side. Same thing for the other side. It's darker here in the center, then it's lighter. Or you couldn't achieve it in one, then you can use your eraser to just lift a little in the center portion of the leaf. Okay, so you can work as long as you are happy. So it gives a 3 dimension. See, it's depression here, bulge. The bulge is lighter again. The curve. So this gives the leaf its curvature. Okay, now I'm working on the third one. The procedure remains the same. Actually, this stem is actually getting attached here somewhere, but for me, okay, let me just pull it here. Okay, just pulled it here this side. Okay, now let's see. Now same process, I'm looking for the shadow areas. There's a shadow here, then there is a highlight in this portion, so I don't want to go my my shading should not go in that area. That's why I'm just very lightly, your hands have to be very light for that, marking it and then shading the rest with a very light pressure. Use a 2B, go back to 2B, or if you can control your pressure, you can use a 4B also. So small circular motion around the highlight. Now there's a nice highlight here in this shape. Okay, so other than that, I want to shade the rest. So that's just a single pass. The same thing, I have to make it really smooth, so I'm just going once more without increasing the pressure, just trying to blend things and make it smooth. You can change the direction of your strokes. Now back with my blending stump or a tissue or tissue paper folded, and just trying to blend the whole thing, leaving the white highlight. Okay, now we need to find out those areas where the shade is much darker. Starting from the top, a little bit here, now just under the this cherry, the shade, the shadow of this cherry is falling on the other one, so the darkness is much more here. So carefully darken, but it has to be gradient. So going over with the second pass, but keeping in mind that the pressure should not be so much that your lines are seen. You know, the pressure should be still calculated, and multiple passes with a medium pressure rather than a single pass or 2 passes with high pressure. So if you try to, do it quick by just increasing the pressure, and instead of multiple passes, you want to just finish it in one go, it will not happen. It has to be multiple passes. So it's a time-taking thing. back with my blender. Now this area looks much darker. So I'm trying to increase the pressure now, leaving the edge here also. This is much darker, so I'm just increasing the pressure a little. So you see, very dark areas, the pressure has to be, where you really want to press, you can, but only in the last stages. If you press initially, the first go or the first pass, that okay, this is dark, I need to press it, you should not be doing that. For a simple reason that it's a layer by layer process. Nothing comes right or happens in just one pass. It has to be built. Layers have to be built on top of each other. So it's like going one layer and then blending it, then again another pass and then blending it, and then thinking whether I need to go darker or lighter. Okay. And always there will be very dark or high contrast areas should be done in the end, and they should be in very less than 20%, 10%. So not all your shading should be of the darkest value in your just trying to blend here. Back with the blender. Okay, now there is a tiny highlight here. So I'm just lifting the graphite. You can use a normal eraser to lift it to correct the highlight if you've lost it. And really pushing for the darkness here. So do it very, very slowly. Now this is a complete one that I did with you. Now I'm going to take my darkest pencil, okay, and I'm going to look for some additional contrast areas that I want to apply, which should be, less than pushing the number. You already have 1 value, 2 value, 3 value, let's count again. The highlight is 1, this light shade is 2, maybe this mid-tone is 3, this is 4 and 5. So 4, 5 values are there, but I'm going to push further. I'm going to use my eraser to lift up some absolutely white, tiny bit of absolute white highlight. This has to be very, very, very subtle. Like it should not be very, you cannot erase the whole thing. It's just that very subtle or small areas with absolute whiteness, just to give that your artwork a little contrast. So pushing with the whiteness. Okay, so this is much whiter now. Similarly, I need to push with the darkness. So I'm going to look at my reference picture, find out the darkest zones, only tiniest darkest zone. I think this is the darkest zone. So I'm just going to I picked up my 8B. So this is the third. I used 2B and then I used 6B and I used 8B. Okay. Then we know that the deepest shadow here will be very dark. So I'm just going over once more. even underneath this second one. I think even this area is pretty dark, the shadow of this cherry on this. So I'm just increasing it a little. And if you see, I'm working with the side of the pencil. Not much pressure, but medium pressure. If you work with the tip again, so I'm just trying to identify the darkest zones. Now for this, the stem here is pretty dark in shadow. The shape of my stem is a little different because, okay. Then even for the leaf, I want to do the same thing. I'm looking at the darkest. This is a dark zone in the leaf. So I'm just trying to push my values there. Here and okay. Back with the little blender in case there are lines, especially the edges. We don't want the edge. We want a nice smooth edge and not a sharp line there. Soft edges. Okay. Now this is slightly circular, the shadow of the cherry. So I'm just trying to give the circular shape of the shadow of the cherries. Keeping it soft, use your finger to blend it, and that's it.